back. This is also a YouTube video, but also a podcast episode. I have my mic here. You just can't see it. I have two mics running because I figured out last time that the audio just didn't sound good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just didn't like it. So I'm running two mics right now, one straight to the podcast and like one straight to the YouTube. Could say I'm a technological beast. Being that I stuttered on the first time I said that word, you can tell I am not. I was inspired by this episode. It is currently 3:19 a.m. I have a class tomorrow at 11, so we're going to try to knock this out quick. Not really quick, but whatever. I was actually inspired by this by the Democratic debate, and I saw it trending on Twitter. And I was like, same shit. And like, I don't mean that in like an ignorant type of way, but it's just, God, politics. And I talk to my mom a lot. My mom is like the main person I talk to about politics. It's like an endless like circle, 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 circle. And if you like broaden your perspective, you can see that every country has their own issues, their own problems. And it's weird how like we only dissect ours. And I get it, because like our country is more important. But like it closes our mind to think that it's end of the world. End of like, I'm still gonna get up tomorrow and go to school. Like, it's whatever. It's whatever for me. But basically, this video, I just want to talk about why young people either hate or love politics, because there really is a divide. It's like, and it's not hate. It's I don't care. And the other one is social justice warrior. It's like that. It's like those are the two broad spectrums. So if you're talking about like leftist and right wing or alt-right, just like, forget that. We're talking about I don't care and social justice warrior. Or actually, my hands are flipped, so bang, right there. So let me start first with the social justice warrior. I have found that social justice warriors, and actually that's a kind of an insult. I don't like to use that. Let me just use political fanatics. Is that good? That sounds like kind of cool, right? Yeah, kind of cool. So political fanatics, right? So you grow up and you see your mind itself is like its own unique thing. So you're going to interpret things and they're going to affect you in different ways. So I might see something and it might hit me and I don't care, but it might hit you and it like stains you and scars you. And it later comes back, comes back in your life and you actually do something about it. Really, it's like you can't even predict how you're going to feel about politics. Being knowledgeable about politics and being like, and you caring about politics, I feel like it's two different things. So if I am knowledgeable about it, doesn't mean I necessarily care. It's kind of just, I watch the news. Now, those two mostly go hand in hand, but they're not generally, like, they're not the same thing. So for me, like, I update myself with the news, mostly overseas. I'm really into that stuff right now. I'm into, like, the overseas. But I'm not really excited to vote for the next election. And that's what I want to get into, why people do not care. They say every vote counts, right? And it's true. Every vote does count. And if everyone, votes, like, in a perfect world, yeah, you can make a difference. Problem is, relying on other people your age is like you're in high school, right? Like most people watching is probably in high school or out of high school. Do y'all remember how hard it was to organize a pep rally, organize a football game, organize anything? Like, people don't listen. Not necessarily that they're a bad person, it's that they stick to what they believe. They're very like stubborn, but in a good stubborn way. And to you, if you don't agree with it, it comes off as a stubborn insult. It's like, why do you continue to do this? Like, just shut up, please. As you get older, you realize that it just divides, just boom, and then you have this and this, and now it gets uncomfortable. So now we're in trends of what we can talk about and what we can. So right now it's pretty trendy to be a liberal, right? Like, if you go on Twitter, most things you see are like liberally associated topics, I would say. And it's not very cool to be a conservative. Same reason like Ben Shapiro is called a racist. He's not, like, if you just like look at his stuff, he's not really a racist. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with everything he says, but he's not like a racist. I think the divide between I don't care and I want to make a difference relies in like I talked about another podcast. It was like season 1. It's the disease called the I'm too young disease. In this case, it's the I'm not powerful disease. So if you had 10,000 people that watched your videos, you are more inclined to speak your mind because you think you have an audience that is willing to listen. But if you don't, like me, I have like maybe 100 people that listen to me, maybe, and yeah, I still feel like I feel a need. So I practice that internally, and that's like, I actually think about that when I'm doing it, rather than I've stopped looking at my views, like, for the most part. Like, I've stopped, if they're up, they're down, I don't care. These, like, trickle down effects, they don't seem like much. Like, they don't seem like, but they do affect the way we think, and not internally, but yeah, internally it does affect the way you view politics. So if you view yourself as just a regular, non-impactful, you're more inclined to not really care about politics. If you really care, you're out there, not being knowledgeable. That's why I say there's a divide between it, because being knowledgeable and caring is totally different. Making a difference and just talking about it is like my Twitter video where I said a bunch of people love to do this. Yeah, it's like, that's it. They don't like to use their hand, they just use these. So, boom. Taking that all into account, like, broadening it out, if I do care about politics, doesn't that come off as kind of uncomfortable, right? Because you internally are dealing with, are people watching me? So if this was a Trump hat, pretend this was a Trump hat. Sorry, podcast. But, like, pretend I'm wearing a Trump hat. That would make some people uncomfortable, just like that. And that angers them, because they do care. Doesn't mean they're knowledgeable about it, but they do care. So if I have this Trump hat, I'm not indicating that I'm knowledgeable. I'm indicating that I care. So you trick your way into caring the same way you trick your way into not caring, if that makes sense. So that's why I divided knowledgeable and caring, because most of the people who are knowledgeable are unknown. Most people who are controversial are popular, right? So, like, you have Ben Shapiro's, Milo's, Alex Jones, all these people who just say what we consider outlandish, outrageous, nonsense to some people, and it causes a divide right there. Now, the people who don't care have no divide. They kind of swim in the same boat. The only problem is, when you don't care and you have a big group of people that don't care, you kind of end up with, like, a bunch of nothing. Like, it's literally equals zero. So that side kind of cancels each other out. So you're left with, like, division. And that's why most people don't care about politics, is because they don't want to be affected by the effects of politics. Politics is an evil, divisive, it's never been this utopia. It never will be, it's pretty standard. Yeah, I would say it's pretty standard. Like, no one believes that. So if you were to take the people that don't care and ask them, why should you care? Most of them would come up with a lot of answers, because, like, what difference do they feel they really make, and what difference do they feel like the president actually makes to them? But the people who, for it, like, doesn't directly affect, they won't necessarily care. And even if it directly affects them, they don't necessarily care. They just kind of get hit with the benefit, or the consequence, if you want to call it that. And at that moment, when they're affected, they can either say, I'm gonna actually go into this and see what I can, like, find out, or I'm just gonna take it all like I did, take it all like what life hits me with, and just, add it onto the pile of shit. That's why, for me, I'm interested more in, why do you think that way? Where did it originate from? What's the goal? Like that. I don't necessarily criticize an opinion. I'll never take a stance on, is white privilege real? Is racism real? Should we allow all the immigrants here? Like, I would never take a stand on that, because first thing, young people like to win. You ever notice that? Young people are very ambitious. When people graduate high school, oh, bruh, we getting it. One day, we gonna make it. We're gonna go up there. We're gonna go on the cruise. We're gonna go to the mountains. Young people love to brag about what's coming in the future. Sadly, it doesn't happen for everybody. But then as you grow older, you get more depressed, I would say. Not depressed, but just, I don't know, reality hit you, and you see the world through this kind of cynical lens. And what that can do is, now then, this is people who actually start to care, but they care in a different way. Now they care in the way that, you ever heard that phrase, people know more about what's happening in the White House than their own house? And that generally happens to some people because it's kind of, they get so obsessed with criticizing the world that they stop focusing on them. In a way, politics is kind of like this toxic thing. Unless you can make it in politics or have an impact positively on a, group of people, it really doesn't do you that good besides the perspective, the perspective. Yeah. So if you are prospectively looking at all the nations and trying to figure out like why, that is critical thinking. That helps your mind. But if you're just using politics as like this cynical hamster wheel that keeps on running, then you're dooming yourself into believing that the world was meant for you to criticize it. So at the end of the day, like, what do you do? Like, what should you care about politics? Should you not? Sorry, I have no freaking answer for that. I'm not going to tell you how to do your own political views. Some people are independents because they're just frustrated with the whole Democrat, Republican, talk. And then somehow the idea comes out that nothing is getting done. So, and even if you look at politicians, they kind of run in trends. So ever since the Texas shooting, Beto O'Rourke is kind of like, he's using that, boom, and he's kind of actually growing. Wang Gang, Andrew Wang, he's growing. He's feeding off the poor and struggling population when he says, I'm going to give you $1,000 a month. And that to me is interesting. The targeting of what you say, the targeting of what you do, that is what I feel like is productive. Taking sides and telling me that Trump is bad. If you tell me that Trump is bad, like, what am I supposed to do with that information? Like, on it, what am I supposed to do? So, that's about it. Love you guys. Take it easy. See you laters.